Good evening, everybody. Welcome to ESC Fan TV, and we're here for our third soup episode. It's been about a month since we've seen you all, so hello, hi. I hope you're all doing well. Bit of housekeeping first and foremost. Like this channel, like this video if you like it, leave us a comment and subscribe. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and if you're not following us there, you are missing out. So make sure you follow us everywhere. But now let's get straight onto it and let's meet our panel. Directly below me from the UK, we have Joe. Hi, Joe.
Hello, and my first soup. I'm looking forward to it.
And directly opposite you is our first soup as well. It's from Belgium. It's Eline.
Hello, my beautiful people. I've been waiting 1 hour to say that, so.
Perfect. That's the first time I've been called beautiful all lockdown, I think. So I will take that and run. Directly next to me, we have from Sweden, we have Gustaf.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be back for my third soup. But I won't come back because Elliot said hello, hi.
It's a typical greeting from me. It's not my fault you've been traumatized by Dolly style. Imagine if Stuart was here. He'd have the wig on.
That's true,
you got away with that. And directly opposite to next door to him, and let's hope they behave each other this time, from Denmark, it's Nicklas.
Yes, hello. Hope you're all doing well and washing your hands, of course.
Who said we weren't a good show giving out helpful advice as well?
There we go.
So obviously within the last month, a lot has happened. Obviously we had what would have been Eurovision. We had the Europe Shine a Light show, which I do think for the most part did a very good job in, putting a positive spin on the sad things that's happened. It was also announced that Rotterdam would be hosting in 2021. So yay, we are hopefully going there, just a bit later than planned, but hopefully we will be going there. No date has been said yet though for when they will be hosting it. Let's move straight on to our first point, which is something I've thought about for a while. Why are you giggling, Gustaf? I look away and you're giggling like a child.
No reason.
I don't trust you. Anyway, something that I've thought about for a while, and I've seen it on social media a lot, is the age of which acts can compete at Eurovision. Obviously, it's set at 16. It came into effect from 1990, I want to say, or maybe a bit earlier. I can't remember the date when it got implemented, but she had to be 16 or older the week of Eurovision starting to be able to compete. And we have seen over the last few years a lot of younger artists be put through it. Example being Zenith from Belarus, Destiny, etc., etc. But should we keep the age at 16 to enter Eurovision? Because 16 is still quite a young age. Joe, I want to come to you first on that one. Do you think we should raise the age limit on the participants in Eurovision?
I do. I'm a bit of an advocate of this. I know a lot of people would disagree, and it's only because of the pressure. And we've had news this week, haven't we? I know he was older, but there's no coincidence that Alex Rybak has been poorly, and he's sort of been a bit addicted literally since he won with Fairy Tale. And it is the pressure. It is very much the pressure, especially if you win, or the pressure of your nation, then pressure of the Eurovision fandom, then pressure of sort of continuing a career after that, and sort of the expectations upon you. And so I do think that 16 is really young, and we've seen how nervous Blanche was at 17, and Christian, absolutely, and Christian Kostov, he came second, but of course he was so young, he was such a child, really, bless him. And I saw both of those as well, live meeting the fans and meeting me, and there's a little bit, they were overwhelmed slightly. So yeah, I think it should at least be 18, maybe even older.
Okay. Gustaf, Melody Festival last year, Malu, when she competed, she was only 15 and she only turned 16 2 days before the final. And if she'd won, obviously she would have just qualified to compete. So do you think that, again, puts a lot of pressure on someone that young? Firstly, taking on a competition like that at 15, but do you think to protect them, they should raise it higher or keep it as it is?
Okay, I'm going to be blunt here and say what I think for once. I don't think that they should raise the limit. I think that it's quite. I mean, I don't know if I can say that it's good, but it works where we are right now, and I don't see any reason to change it. Because let's be honest, a contest that's this big, Melody Festival or Eurovision, is going to put a lot of pressure on a lot of people, depending on your like 50 or 15, and it's up to you to decide if that's a pressure that you can handle or not. And I'm just going to be blunt and say that.
You blunt on this show? Never.
Never. I'm a little angel.
Sure. Eline, obviously Belgium's victory came from Sandra Kim when she was very young. She was 13 or 14 when she won. So you benefited from their like allowing young people to compete. So do you think they should raise it? Do you think they should keep it as, because like Joe said, Blanche especially, I remember, really did struggle with the pressures. I mean, she turned it out on the night, and you know, amazingly so, because I love that song and her, but you could see she was really struggling. So do you think maybe there needs to be this race where it's 18, 21, etc., etc.?
Yeah, I should raise it to 21 years old, because also I just think if you watch the show and you see that this child of 17 years old is singing, and then after they performed, you see like an older person is just like, oh, okay. So sometimes I think it's a bit weird. Like, for example, when I watched Melody Festival and I saw Malu Priest, I was like, Junior Eurovision. So I thought it was a bit weird, although I liked the song and Malu, but still I was like, you know, I thought, no, it doesn't really belong here. So I should raise it to 21.
Okay. And Nicklas, if this wasn't the age bracket as it was, you would have been directly impacted, because Ben obviously was only 17. He's only just turned 18 this week. So obviously Ben and Tanya wouldn't have been able to compete. They wouldn't have been able to, you know, send yes. So where do you stand? Like, because obviously you've seen how good he can perform at such a young age. And obviously we have the age brackets in place at Junior Eurovision where it's only between 9 and 14. So what's your whole standpoint on this?
I think I'm a bit torn on it. I think it's interesting that you bring it up, because one thing I've definitely been thinking about lately with all the Eurovision again, and also with all the Retrovision we've been doing here on the channel, is that you really notice that in the last, like, I'd say like maybe 10, 15 years, there's been a massive shift in Eurovision, going from a time where it seemed to be like every age could compete, to now where it's like it's only really the young artists getting sent, and those who are sending older artists, with a few exceptions, don't really do that well. And I think it's a shame, because there are so many great artists who could benefit from something like Eurovision, who doesn't necessarily have to be these young and upcoming. And I think what we're really missing in Eurovision these days is a bit more age diversity, because it kind of feels like 50 or like 16 to 26 is like the age, and even if you're over 30, you're considered like an oldie of sorts. And I think it's such a shame. It's like I said, I'm torn, because I think some people are ready for it when they are 17, 18 years old. They go out there and perform great. But I think we have seen examples also in like national finals where it does get a bit too Junior Eurovision, and you look at those artists and think, oh, I wish you would have just like waited just like 3 or 4 years before you came out there, because, you know, some of these artists, they probably think this is the best they could have ever done at the age of 16, but then you get older and you realize, yeah, that's going to be on the internet forever. So I think there's definitely artists who could have benefited from a bit of a higher age gap, but I don't think it's going to change anytime soon with so many broadcasters wanting to send those young up-and-coming artists.
Yeah, I just say I don't think it's going to change, but I would like it to change only to 18. So I think between 16 and 18, you grow up a lot, especially like in those 2 years is the biggest jump which I can think of. And it's like I said, but like I know they know what they're walking into. That is a competition, and I know not everyone can make the final, not everyone's going to win, but it's still, you know, heartbreaking to, you know, think that, you know, a 16 or 17-year-old hasn't got through. They think they've let down their country. You know, 2010, the footage of Anna Bergendahl, you know, not getting through. It's horrific to watch and things like that. And it is a lot of pressure on these young people. And, you know, and especially when because they are so young, they probably think they can't speak up, so they feel like they're controlled. So many voices from the delegations, because these delegations are huge as well, full of people twice their age and with the experience. But I imagine it can get very overwhelming. But then again, on the flip side, like you said, you have people like Destiny who can deal with this. You had Zayn go and did absolutely fantastic. But again, like you said, it's a very good point that there's not many quote-unquote older artists being sent. I mean, I just did a quick check, and the oldest that I could see from this year was Estonia, and he was only 37. And he was still considered old, and not many people were giving him a fair shot, even though, although maybe a slightly dated ballad, did have a very good voice, and he's a very talented singer. But, it's a weird one, but I think I just feel like bad for them, so I just want them to raise it a bit, because I just don't like seeing people sad in Eurovision, which is weird to say in a competition, I know, but I just don't like it when all that stuff comes out. We saw it in 2018 when Coco from Zibs got really upset. We saw the Fishes of Lavina being really upset, and these are grown women. So seeing that on a child, I just think it's just, I don't know. I just think they should wait till like they're 18 and then they can fully figure out what they want to do and then speak up, for lack of a better word. And also, like you said about the national finals, as soon as you said that, my mind went to Asanda in 2018. The song is great, but when she performed it, it felt a little juvenile. Something was lacking in that arena. And if it was someone a bit older, I keep saying, like, if they gave that someone like Fleur East, who's so sure of herself as a performer and a singer, it would have probably beat Suri. But because it was someone so young and she was a bit green, it didn't quite land. I could be completely wrong. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments on here. It's an open discussion, but should the age limit be raised for Eurovision going forward from 16? I personally think yes. Some of us think no. That's fine. It's why we're all fans. We all have different opinions, and it's why I wanted to bring it up, because I think it's a very interesting take back, because we do forget sometimes these are people who are, when you think about it, like some of them are still would have been sitting there, A levels and GCSEs in the UK. That's the scary part. I can never get my head around. Maybe that's because I'm admitting I'm getting old, because I would have left school 11 years ago. So, moving on.
You're so old.
I feel it.
Old.
Hey, I got told I was knocking on 30. I got told I was knocking on 30. I got offended.
When you said Uka was 37 and Uka was 37, I'm like, oh, he's such a baby.
This is why I've decided not to bring up the young versus old debate on the show anymore, because we all remember what happened last time I tried to do that.
Yeah.
A big red flag, Nicklas. Big red flag. Abort.
Oh,
Yes. Never again.
Never again. But we're going to move on to our next point now, and it's looking forward to 2021 and national finals. And obviously, a lot of artists who were meant to go this year have been brought forward to next year, which is fantastic to see. But a lot of them won their spot through national finals. For example, Montaigne, Destiny, Roxanne, Goe, etc., etc. So it does beg the question: what are they going to do this year, and how is the national final season going to look as a result? Because there's a lot of internal selections already. There could be more coming. We don't know. We already know some are staying as they are. Like, we know Norway is keeping their semi-finals and doing that exactly as they are. Melody Festival is going to be exactly the same. I can only assume Denmark is doing exactly the same thing.
Yes.
So I guess the question is, I'm going to come to Gustaf first, is what do you anticipate the national final season to look like this year? Are we going to have a lot less? Maybe a lot of one artist, 3, 4, 5 songs? How do you think it's going to work?
I hope that we will get a lot of artists having 3, 4, 5 songs, because that would be a lot of fun, and it wouldn't feel as empty as it would feel if we don't have any, or if we just have a few national finals. But I think there's a huge risk that we will only have a few national finals, and that's why I'm so happy that some countries decided to stick with their old concept, because what is Eurovision without the national final season?
Very fair point. Nicklas, obviously they said there could be several one artist, multiple songs, which I only saw really come into effect back in 2018 with Sara, to be honest. That's the first time I remember seeing it, and then it's happened more and more and more. And obviously this year, for example, Roxanne got a lot of flack for allegedly throwing the national final to make sure Alcohol U won. So do you think broadcasters will take that into effect if they saw that when they're planning these ideas. Like, I personally don't see Roxanne doing that again, given what happened this time, which was unfair, I'm just going to say. But
I don't know. I think more they will be looking into if the viewership is there, because there's. I would like to quote a very interesting article done on ESC Inside where they talked about this exactly, where they mentioned something like UMK with what Sarah Alto did and what Derut did. The reason why the Finnish broadcast isn't really interested in doing those anymore is because of poor viewership. There is a clear favoritism towards the traditional national final here in the northern region, and to us as fans in the Nordic countries, there's no surprise. I feel like, at least, that we're all still doing our usual national finals next year, because it's such a big part, if not even bigger, a bigger part than Eurovision itself. It's its own identity. It brings in the viewers. It's a big thing for sponsors and all these countries. So I'm actually going to go against what you say and think, no, I don't think we're going to see less national finals at all, because I think the ones who usually do them are going to do them. Then there are the few countries like Ukraine that has enough problems with their national final. Then we have someone like Australia Decides, which is still a new national final, so it doesn't really matter for them. They don't really have like that much when it comes to like viewership. Do they know if it's working or not? So I think there's still going to be a bunch of those countries that'll return with a national final like we're used to, and we're still gonna have a lot of fun. I have no doubt about it. But those one artist 5 songs, see, I'm not too interested in them, because I think, and it's such an interesting concept, right? Because like you said, it was very clear with Roxanne what songs you wanted to go through, I feel like, at least. And I feel like it was kind of the same with what we saw with Sarah Alto. Like, Monsters was a song from the beginning, and then like when it went to Eurovision, she just like picked elements from the other performances and put that into it to make like that one grand too much performance. That's my personal opinion. No, but I just don't think they work. I think it's an interesting concept, but I think the problem is that, yes, it does give the public more of a saying, and I think the public is sometimes happy that they get a bit of a more saying in it. But at the same time, I think it's way better if you are going to go internal, focus on one song, because if you have to focus on 5 songs, you're gonna resort to those, what was in this year's songwriting camps bunch of songs, or what is Symphonics doing at the moment? Probably 20 songs that sounds exactly the same. Is that the 3rd time that I've said something bad about Symphonics on the show? Wonderful.
Every episode you get a dig in. Every episode so far.
I'm not even meant to do it, but no.
You don't miss a beat.
Neither do they. But it's just, no, I think sometimes if you have to put focus into 5 songs, you're always going to focus more on one, but you're never going to be able to focus 100% on it. So if you're going to choose internal, let them pick a song, let them work hard on it, go all the way, and we'll see what happens in May. That's how I see it.
All right. Eline, obviously, you know Hooverphonic are returning. Hooverphonic always do their own music. That is them, and they know their brand very well. Would you like to see them do a national final with just Hooverphonic songs? You haven't had a national selection since 2016. So would you like to see the broadcaster do something like showcasing Hooverphonic's music? Because they are a very diverse group as well.
I don't know. Like, I can see Belgium do that, but I hope not, because my favorite songs never win. So no, I don't want it.
I love you just rather release an album and just like, yeah, these songs are just extra with the Eurovision song in line with it. It's fine.
But it's true. That. My favorites never win. So I'm like, no. It was the same with Laura Tesoro. So no.
I don't know how many times my national final favourite has won. I know Belgium 2016, my favourite didn't win. I know that much. It was close, but it didn't win. I think the only time it has been this year was also Montaigne. I think, off the top of my head, I think Don't Break Me was the only national final song, which was my favourite, that one. I don't know. And Joe, has the UK's never done that sort of format that I'm aware of, where they have we? I don't know.
Oh, predating you all, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Oh yeah, all the way back, right?
Yeah, 92. It wasn't that far back. Yeah, 92. Yeah, we in fact, actually, I think it goes. I'm going to have to come back to you on this, but I'm almost certain didn't Cliff do it or something? I can't remember, but I mean, I know for a fact that 92 Michael Ball, he had it where they had a song for Europe and he was singing every song. The same with Sonia the next year, and the same with Francis Rafael the year after. So they definitely did it in those mid-90s. But there's going to be someone who watches this, I know, bless them, so please tell me. But I think it goes back further than that even. I think we actually invented the whole concept, if I'm really totally 100% honest. And it was our in thing. So there you go. But yeah.
So do you think the UK should come back to that then? Because obviously the main issue you decide felt very quickly is that all the songs felt very similar and very safe and from a songwriting camp with no major personality to them. Should we find a singer and let them come with 3 or 4 songs? I personally wouldn't mind. I think that would be quite exciting. But then again, like Eline, knowing my luck, my favourite wouldn't win.
Do you know what? I'm thinking about this now, even from that, when you're just saying that, because I'm sure that happened with Olivia Newton-John as well, because I'm sure at the time when she took part in 74, that and there was another song that she wanted to win. So again, I think it even predate. I think they may even all predate me. And yes, I don't know. I mean, it worked because those were our glory days. Will we ever get them back? God knows how. So I don't know. It would be nice, but we'd have to have a really good song. You know, we'd have to have loads of songs that were really good. And then if we were leaving it to the good old British public, yeah, that's what I'm going to say with that one. I mean, you know, that may actually fall at the first hurdle. In that respect, it's not belittling any of the great British public, but you know what we're like. We'll go for the song that's got that everyone really loves, but isn't necessarily the best Eurovision song or the best song, or modern. Yeah, very difficult.
I mean, I know we joke about don't trust the great British public, but they did send Scooch, so I have no faith in them. That is always my go-to.
Cindy Scooch. Oh, it was Scooch. Yeah. Yeah.
And how the fandom's favourite in You Decide has never won. It's always been the runner-up has won. The backup has always won every year.
True.
But
to be honest,
a lot of that, yeah, is also down to, like in Sanders' case, for example.
Yeah. And I can see Nicklas in the corners, like bouncing around like a kid in class, wanting to say something. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Because I had to look it up, because I was fairly certain, like Joe said, it was actually a thing that the UK did in the very beginning. And yes, from 1964 and all the way to, I'm going to stretch this out so I can keep clicking all the way up to, it's going to take a while. I'm in the 70s now and they're still doing it. So throughout most of the 60s and most of the 70s, it does look like the UK actually did have those, like, okay, up until 1967. There we go. That's right. 76. 76.
Yeah, it's on 74. So I know, yeah, it goes all that. It was definitely happened in the 90s.
For about 10 years.
67 was even before I was born. Yeah, I'm afraid. Yeah, I think you'll find it was probably the in thing for the UK right up until the mid-90s. I'm sure it was. Yeah.
Everyone, go look it up on Wikipedia, because no one understood what I just said.
I personally don't mind this sort of format. I think it's quite exciting. I think it works if you do have an artist like Sarah, who is quite diverse in what she can do and like does all these different genres. It lets her, figure out what's going on. And also, I kind of like it. I think it's like the best outcome as well, in that like the broadcaster get who they want, but then the public get the song that they want, or vice versa. Like, so I always like that sort of half and half involvement situation. But again, like I said, I just don't trust the UK with it. I don't know why. I've just been burnt too many times by the UK in Eurovision and their choices that, yeah. I would like to see him try it next year. Like, give it a go, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, hell, we've tried everything else. Why not try this as well again? You know, we can't do much worse than we do at the minute. It's not like if Sweden did it and then they completely dropped off and went, well, that went wrong. We're near the bottom every year anyway, so let's just give it a go. But I don't mind them. I hope there is more of them, to be honest. I know they said that Australia Decides is not coming back next year, so I can only assume that Montaigne is just finding a song outright for herself, which for me is fine because her music is very different to what Don't Break Me was. And also I think it's quite good because if you're not having to compete against anyone but yourself, it means you can do what is exactly works for you instead of what works against your competition. And Montaigne stuff has actually been fantastic. I've been quite obsessed with her the last fortnight and her music, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. I found all this back catalog stuff like 2016, and I think it's great. But we'll have to wait and see. I know Goa has said they've got about 5 songs they're working on, and they're not sure how they're going to pick theirs, whether they're going to let the public decide or etc. But like I said, a long way to go until then, and we still got a lot to come out. But I still imagine a lot of songs will be done through national finals in some format. But it's also the first time that Samantha Tina, who's been selected for Latvia, it's the first time that Latvia have not picked their own artist through a national final. Unless she has her own national final. It's the first time Latvia ever will not have a national final. Let's hope it pays off for them. I hope so, because I think she's
no
great.
pressure.
Because she's tried so many years, so I hope it works out for her as well. Bless her heart.
They may do it like online, won't they? You know, like they may say, right, here's 5 songs. You know, great public of the world, please choose the best song and do a vote. You know, you might even go to that. Yeah. So a bit of money, wouldn't it?
It would. I mean, and it's, you know, the Czech Republic have done something similar, like opening out to everyone, and it's worked in their favour. The years they've done it, they've done very well.
I'd actually do it exactly the same. Maybe they'll involve Eurovision.tv rather than just the national countries. You know, it would save a lot of money, especially because people are probably trying. That's probably what they're trying to save at the moment, anyway. So, yeah, very much so. And on to our final point, which is just, as always, just a bit of fun looking back on the previous season. I asked the panel and made them squirm, basically, by asking them this question: is what was your favourite national final song from 2020 which didn't win? Because there's always, you know, as Eline said, 5 or 6 or 10 songs you love, which sadly don't make it to the Eurovision stage, and we have those we still listen to now. And because I think Nicklas is going to pick the one that I had as my backup, I'm going to go to him first. There's one song I know you've mentioned in the past that you loved which didn't win, so I think I know what yours is going to be.
Interesting, right? Because I had a bit of a look at it earlier, right? Because sometimes you look at it in hindsight and it's not necessarily the songs that maybe you were championing the most during the national final season that actually ended up being the ones that you kind of listen to after the fact. I'd say I was actually pretty happy with a lot of the songs that were selected. I think it was a pretty lucky year for me. There were a few. I'm not gonna talk about Slovenia again, but there were a few hit and misses. But all in all, I was actually pretty happy. But no, my pick is Alligator from the from the Lithuanian final. Yeah.
I'm an alligator. I'll be your gladiator. I can be your personal marionette. Don't be such a hater. Today I'll be home later. Don't forget to water my plants when I'm gone.
For me, this is miles ahead of the Roop. I've said it before. I think the Roop is a gimmick and not necessarily that much of a good song, and I don't think it would have done as well as everyone thought it was going to. I think this song had a lot of gimmick elements in it as well, but Alligator is just such a modern pop song and so like originally performed. And I just think I would have loved to seen that more. But yeah, that's probably my biggest pick.
Just remember to water my plants when I'm gone, Nicklas, please. All right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, yeah, I gathered that would be your pick because that's one I was going to go for as well, because I do remember loving that, and just her performance. In fact, it was different every single time. It was quite, and again, it was quite quirky and gimmicky, but it
One of the
few
times when Elliot's music taste isn't wrong.
But it is.
Thank you. I would take that. Gustaf.
But it is.
Gustaf, you said you had about 3 songs. Were you able to pick one in the end?
Yeah, I was actually, or actually I picked it like right now, this second.
You want to mention your other 2 then, to make it fair? Do you want to give a quick mention to your other 2?
Yeah, the other 2 are obviously Kingdom Come by Anna Bergendahl. It's too obvious to even choose it. No, I'm not.
I was expecting that you would pick Anna Bergendahl. I was like waiting.
I'd have put money on it, mate. Money.
I decided to go for something else. And the other one that I didn't choose is from Lithuania also. It's If I Leave by Monica Maria. Which I think is a beautiful song. But
I'm sensing a country theme here.
That Victor Crown is you in
Is it Troubled Waters?
And the one I'm choosing is the one I have actually listened to as much as Kingdom Come. They are alongside in listenings, and I love them both very much. And that song is actually from Denmark. It's the Screens. By Sander Sanchez. I just absolutely love that song, and I have loved it since the first time I heard it. So it's simple as that.
I still want this jacket from the national final. I remember saying that on the broadcast. I still want it.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. You would never lose me. It's reflected. You would never lose me. It's great. Eline, what is your pick? Sorry, I came you right at the wrong moment there. I'm so sorry.
So, I actually wrote 2 songs down. So I don't know why, but I really liked Rain Alexander from Norway because it gave me maybe Rasmussen vibes, and me and my best friend were like, yeah, So I don't know, but my all-time favorite, Gustaf, are you there? I'm not disappointing Anna. Anna is my number 1. So yeah, Kingdom Come with Anna.
Yay! It is a fantastic song.
I was not bribed to say this.
She says that, but no one knows.
Joe, I can guess it's from Norway, but which song from Norway? If it's from Norway, because you did love Ulrike and Ulrike won, so I don't know which one you're going to go for.
Yeah, I do love Ulrike. Yeah, and to be honest, my other favourite, as you probably know, was the Solly Tangen Brothers with Out of Air. So that is my absolute favourite.
What if our love is running out of air tonight? If silence is the warning sound, and what if our heart can drown in tears and cry? I'll be running out of air tonight.
I would have loved either of them to win. And to be fair, Justice for Ziguba, but they didn't actually make the final, so I didn't include them either. So yeah, there's probably about 5 on MGP that I thought could have won, and I'd be really happy. And Kristen Hussoy as well. Pray for me, she was brilliant. But yeah, for me, it's definitely Didrik and Emil.
Okay. My pick, obviously, my honourable mention, which I nearly picked, was Wild by Ray, because I'm a sucker for fan service, as Nicklas said. Like, I know the song is trashy. I know the song is really simple lyrically, but I still really enjoy it. And I don't know why, to be honest, but it's fantastic.
We know.
Yeah, I don't care. Look, I still listen to Human as well. I do. What can I say?
Ooh.
Insert joke here.
I'll let the viewer's imagination do the job on that one. How about that?
Pause this for the joke.
Yeah.
Moving on. But no, my actual favourites from the national final we actually haven't mentioned yet, and it comes from Australia, and it's Jaguar Jones and Rabbit Hole. I just thought that was incredible, and we don't have enough of that sort of really powerful up tempo, sort of almost sort of like rock enough like Eurovision, and it was that perfect sort of balance. And she's mad, the song was bonkers, the staging was crazy, and I would have loved to have seen that at Eurovision. Like I said, I still love Montaigne. I still think the right song won when all was said and done. But if that had won, I would have been also over the moon, because it would have just been so out there and fantastic, and I still love it now. So there's my pick, Jaguar Jones, and with Rabbit Hole. But like I said, it was pretty difficult to pick, because when you look back, there were very, very, very good songs. I know there was a lot of downheartedness about the national final season and this, that, and the other, but when you look at it, it was a pretty solid year, I think, thankfully.
Definitely.
Did we really get through this bit and not talk about Bulletproof?
Thank God.
Fair. Moving on.
I'm surprised you only mentioned one song from Sweden, to be honest. I was expecting at least 2 or 3. I'm not gonna lie. But no, that is everything that we had for this episode. So thank you very much, everyone. Anyone have any final points they would just like to throw out there before we close this episode down?
I want soup now. It's true. I'm hungry. I want soup.
Which kind? What are you in the mood for?
I made asparagus. How do you say it in English?
Asparagus.
Soup yesterday, and I think I'm gonna eat it like in a few minutes.
And I know what tomato soup is in Norwegian, because I'm learning Norwegian on Duolingo, and it comes up those country.
I think we broke Gustaf.
But here's the real question. If you take out ice cream and leave it in a bowl for long enough, does it become soup?
It's a milkshake.
It becomes cream, doesn't it?
A milkshake.
Milkshake. Yeah, but a milkshake's probably got ice in it. I think you probably find it just becomes cream. Like melted cream. Not the ice.
Well, that got off the rails, didn't it?
Can you tell it's been a few weeks since we've all been together?
And that's what we'll do when we actually all get together again. It's unbelievable.
It's a lockdown humor, right? When we haven't been interacting with other people, we start to think that our own humor is actually good.
Yeah, and you together with a lockdown hair.
And on that note, it is time to say goodbye to my lovely panel. A big thank you to Eline.
Thanks for having me. And I'm starving right now, so yeah.
A pleasure, as always. Big thank you to Joe.
Goodbye, everyone. Really good show.
Big thank you to Nicklas.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great.
And a big thank you to Gustaf, if he can speak. We'll take that. And I've been Elliot, your host. A big thank you, as always. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to us here, like this, and leave in the comments what sort of super leader should get next time she goes to the shops. Until then, see you soon, guys.
Bye.